Are you struggling to set up your Kubernetes NGINX Ingress in AWS? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into how to properly configure your NGINX Ingress controller and terminate SSL with an AWS managed certificate. I totally get it. Setting up Kubernetes can be tricky, especially when it comes to Ingress and SSL termination. Many users face similar challenges, and it can be frustrating when things don't work as expected. Let's look at a specific case. One user reached out saying, I set up a Kubernetes cluster in AWS using kops, and now I want to set up an NGINX Ingress controller with TLS termination. But I'm getting a 400 response from NGINX saying, the plain HTTP request was sent to HTTPS port. What am I doing wrong? Sound familiar? Let's figure this out together. So what could be causing this issue? It sounds like there might be a misconfiguration in your Ingress resource or how the AWS ELB is set up. Let's break it down step by step to identify the problem. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a pro tip that can save you a lot of headaches when working with Kubernetes and SSL. To resolve the issue, the user should first check the Ingress resource configuration. The current setup specifies a backend service that listens on port 80, but the Ingress is likely receiving HTTPS traffic. This mismatch can cause the 400 error. Next, the user should ensure that the NGINX Ingress controller is properly configured to handle SSL termination. This involves setting the correct annotations in the Ingress resource to specify the use of the AWS managed certificate. After that, the user needs to confirm that the AWS Elastic Load Balancer is set up to forward HTTPS traffic to the NGINX Ingress controller. This means checking the listener rules on the ELB to ensure they are configured correctly. Finally, the user should test the setup by accessing the application through the browser using the HTTPS URL. If everything is configured correctly, the user should no longer see the 400 error. Fun fact, did you know that Kubernetes was originally designed by Google? It's come a long way since then, but sometimes it still feels like a puzzle. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach shared by another user involves using the Ingress from the kops repository. They added an annotation for the AWS Load Balancer SSL certificate, pointing to the certificate ARN. Additionally, they set the target port for both ports to 80. Let's take a moment to review another user's answer. An alternative approach to setting up NGINX Ingress with SSL termination involves creating a secret for your SSL public and private keys in your Kubernetes namespace. Then, you need to add a TLS block to your Ingress resource, referencing that secret. Here's the pro tip I promised. Always document your configurations and changes. This habit can save you time and frustration in the long run. And there you have it. With these steps, you should be able to resolve the 400 response issue and get your NGINX Ingress working smoothly. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks on Kubernetes.